addition, we're tracking the explosion of the Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection to the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. I directed my team to make sure every resource is made available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete the investigation in New Orleans quickly and make sure there's no remaining threat to the American people. We'll support the people of New Orleans as they begin the hard work of healing. New Orleans is a place unlike any other place in the world. It's a city full of charm and joy. So many people around the world love New Orleans because of its history, its culture, and above all, its people. So I know, while this person committed a terrible assault on the city, the spirit of New Orleans will never be defeated. It always will shine. We've seen that time and time again throughout its history. And I know we'll see it again in the days and weeks ahead. May God bless the people of New Orleans. May God bless our police and our first responders. May God protect our troops. And we'll keep you fully contemporaneously informed. Thank you.
You've been listening to President Biden address the nation after that deadly terror attack in New Orleans and also the Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. He talked about the fact that the attacker in New Orleans posted these recordings just before the attack, hours before, talking about ISIS and how he was inspired by ISIS. And he said that law enforcement officials are now looking for any possible connection between that attack in New Orleans and this explosion outside of the Trump Tower in Las Vegas. Good evening to everyone. I'm Pamela Brown, in for Aaron Burnett. Out front tonight, we are following these two breaking stories in New Orleans. The death toll there is rising. Officials now say at least 15 people are dead after a driver plowed into a crowd of people celebrating the new year on Bourbon Street. This attack in the French Quarter is now being called an act of terrorism. Multiple officials telling our John Miller moments ago the suspect, Shamsuddin Jabbar, made a series of recordings where he is heard saying he joined ISIS, as we just heard from President Biden. And in Las Vegas, officials are also investigating this Cybertruck explosion outside Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, which left the driver dead and 7 others injured. That investigation is also being treated as a possible terrorist attack. What do we know? What we do know is the Cybertruck was rented by Turo, which is the same internet site used to rent the truck involved in the New Orleans crash. We have a team of reporters standing by. Omar Jimenez is in New Orleans. Veronica Miracle is following the Las Vegas explosion. But I want to start with Omar on the ground there. Omar, what is the latest you're hearing from officials there?
Yeah, right now it remains a busy scene as it has over the course of today. Roads blocked in many different directions outside of the French Quarter, which is just behind me. This attack happened about a block or so away from where I'm standing, maybe a little bit further. But what we saw over the course of the day, obviously investigators going in and out, but also coroner vans going in and out, as we now learn from the coroner that the death toll has jumped to 15 as opposed to 10, which is where it stood for most of the day. All of this, of course, as investigators are trying to piece together how exactly this unfolded. A big part of it, the motivation. Well, the FBI said that an ISIS flag was found inside this vehicle, along with a potential IED as well, along with other potential IEDs in the surrounding French Quarter area as well. As you were just talking about a little bit earlier and reporting from our John Miller, that law enforcement, multiple officials, law enforcement is reviewing videos, according to multiple officials briefed on the investigation, where this individual said that he joined ISIS. So no doubt part of this investigation moving forward. But then, of course, there are questions as to why barriers that were installed years ago here to prevent this type of attack from happening didn't stop it from happening in this case. And we actually saw how these initial moments played out from some surveillance video from a nearby business next to us here, which actually shows a white pickup truck coming up Canal Street behind us here, and then goes around a police officer that is stationed in front of Bourbon Street, and then, of course, speeds towards the people that were standing not too far away. Well, police officials told us today that those metal barricades, those barriers, were actually under repair ahead of the Super Bowl So, as a substitute, they put police officers in front of those roadways and other types of barriers, and they say that this person went around them on the sidewalk, and that is how they actually gained access to all the people that were celebrating again in just the early morning hours of the new year. And we are learning about some of the people that were killed in this attack, at least 15, as we have mentioned. One of them in particular, 37-year-old Reggie Hunter from Baton Rouge. As we understand from one of his cousins, he had sent a Happy New Year text to his family and just earlier in the morning, but also that he was someone who liked to laugh and tell jokes, who loved his family and his kids. He leaves behind an 11-year-old and a 1-year-old, again, in just the opening moments of 2025, Pamela.
Okay, thank you so much, Omar. Very sad there on the ground. We hope to learn some more details. And law enforcement says that they're also investigating another potential terrorist attack after a Tesla Cybertruck exploded right outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. I believe officials there are actually holding a press conference, hoping to provide some new details. Let's listen in.
A valet of the Trump International Hotel. Very quickly thereafter that, the driver, who was the sole occupant of the truck, we saw what looked like maybe some sort of smoke, and then the truck exploded. Smoke was coming from inside of the truck after we noticed the flash and the explosion, and I'm going to show you that first video. That's the Cybertruck parked right in front of the doors. Can you play that again, Carlos? So the individual that was in that truck is obviously deceased. Still in the truck as we speak here today are fire department folks, Engine 12, a number of others. You'll hear from one of the fire chiefs here in just a moment, arrived very quickly along with my officers. And obviously we knew that we had a much larger event than just a vehicle fire. And so there's going to be a drone video that plays to my left again. You'll see as the fire initially, they covered it with a tarp to try to get it to go out. Once the fire went out through the suppression efforts of the fire department, you'll see some of the evidence in the back of the vehicle. So those are gasoline canisters, they are camp fuel canisters, and large firework mortars. But I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet, because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump Hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front of. You can see that in the video there. What I will update, I'm very well aware that there's a name already been reported out into the media. I am not going to confirm any names to you as I sit here today, because I cannot do that with 100% certainty of who the individual is. What I can tell you, we do know the truck was rented in Colorado. We were able to trace that truck through the Tesla charging stations, and it arrived here in Las Vegas this morning at about 7:30 and went up and down Las Vegas Boulevard before immediately pulling into the Trump Towers. Unfortunately, there were 7 people that reported injuries during this incident. All of them still remain as minor injuries and were treated at UMC. I would like to thank the Resorts World, because as you know, we had to close down the Trump and evacuate it, as well as the Fashion Show Mall. And the Resorts World was very gracious in taking those hundreds of individuals in over there, housing them and feeding them prior to us being able to completely clear the hotel. The hotel and Fashion Show are back open for business. The Trump will remain closed as we continue this lengthy investigation as we move forward. I'm going to yield now to Chief Billy Samuels, but I'd like you to also recognize all of our exceptional elected officials that have come to support the police and fire department and this community in remaining safe. There is no further threat to the community as I sit here today, and I just want to make sure that our community understands we believe this to be an isolated incident, and it is now over as far as the danger. So, Billy?
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm going to reiterate some of the stuff that the Sheriff has spoken upon. Engine 12 did arrive within 4 minutes of dispatch. Did extinguish the fire with assistance from the sprinkler systems and along with that electric vehicle blanket that we use on those operations. We did encounter 7 victims, all stable. 2 of them were transported to UMC, who have since been released. They were transported by community ambulance. A total of 13 units from Clark County Fire with 26 personnel, and then 4 units and 17 personnel from Las Vegas Fire and Rescue